To live in society, you need a certain balance, a counterphase with society and society's penetration into you. If you're not in the forest, not in a cave, not underwater, not underground, you're in society. You have to choose the balance. How radical you are and how much you are in counterculture to society is exactly proportional to how much society doesn't penetrate you, and vice versa. The more you conform to society's norms, the more society penetrates you. So it's normal, from the point of view of others, to be an extremist, a radical, a sectarian, whatever you want to call it. It's absolutely normal. You must understand that you either eat the fish or sit on the fucking thing. There's no middle ground. The price for not being a degenerate in society is losing the feeling that you belong. You have to choose. Either you live well or you don't feel like you belong here. And because of that feeling, of course, you miss it a lot. I honestly don't remember the last time I felt like I belonged. That feeling haunts you your whole life, that you're an outsider, that you're a stalker, like a spy on a mission. You can never get exposed. You sit there with relatives talking, and it's really hard because it requires a huge amount of cognitive self-control. You just want to be yourself. But, don't say that. Don't start that topic. Yeah, like some foreign agent, don't react to this shit. Yeah, if you blurted some bullshit, you just go, yeah, sure. Wealth is the highest form of freedom from society. That is, when you are a dollar billionaire, or at least have a few $1 million, you can feel with an open chest. Why? Understand, when you're a radical and you differ from society, and you have no money, it's always easy to accuse you. And you yourself will believe you're an idiot. When you're rich, when you're secured, when you have power, an audience, levers of influence, they will accuse you of being an idiot, sectarian, idiot, lucky, whatever. You won't believe it anymore. Not believing it anymore is the most important thing. I understand that the world is arranged by the principle of physical power. Whoever can fuck someone up is right, period. It's a very primitive view of things. Actually, there's nothing else. So for me, it's absolutely unclear why I'm physically strong, but some fucking pussy can say or do something. From the point of legal perception, if a person hasn't undergone a process of de-indoctrination, there's nothing to talk about with them at all. What is freedom? What is freedom of mind? It's the ability to free yourself, and apart from everything imposed on you, make your own choice based on your internal feelings of right and wrong. That's what freedom is. Therefore, I never believe and am not interested in the opinion of people who live according to what was shoved into their head at 5 years old. They live and grow like that. They have no real opinion. Their opinion is like a rally in Russia, with herders reporting to their apparatus on what they came with, where they came from, how they came, asking for permission. That's also a person limited by what was put into their head in childhood. Their entire thought process happens within that small fenced area. There's no way out, and it's very hard to pull something out of yourself. You live, and you're deeply convinced that everything you have in life, you felt like this, you thought like this. But then some kind of crack happens in perception, and you realize it was never really about you. You were doing introjection. They explained to you how you should feel. Introjection is when a child, not fully understanding, sincerely repeats the adult's emotional reaction. The absolute majority of people live on 100% introjection. They haven't figured anything out themselves yet. There's a meme on the English internet. I support the current thing. That's how deep these interactions can go. For example, a person may think they're some crazy altruist doing everything for their loved ones, living for them, nothing for themselves, but then something clicks. Thought, meditation, a properly asked question, an external remark, or substances, and the person realizes that for as long as they remember themselves, it was very comfortable to be the most vulgar egoist. All that altruistic shit was cuckolding. They were deceived, and they deceived themselves to play that game. They never liked it. The person is in a vacuum. Essentially, introjection is a thought-sensory worldview semi-finished product with a closed architecture. Like the iPhone X has a closed architecture, you can't change hardware or software. Introjection is the same kind of semi-finished product. They shoved it in your head, and you can't properly integrate it into your life. It's a foreign object, and if a person lacks attentiveness and self-awareness, they just live like that. This is the most complicated intellectual process. Essentially, the whole struggle on the planet is between Prometheus and the Olympic gods. There is a part of the elites on the planet and the rest of people. The fight is only between the smart ones. Only intelligent people compete. Everyone else is cattle, just that. Conditionally, the Olympic gods are those who stand on the inner position that people don't need to be educated. People don't need access to technology. Let society be strictly stratified. People in the Prometheus position are those who say no. We must educate, lift up, pull up. This is the whole struggle. It happens between these people. Conditionally, there are political technologists who sit and invent movies to encode and even more enslave the slave mentality. And there are people like me who sit and fight with the shield and sword, uprooting, deconstructing it. There is no middle ground between this. It's purely a strict internal position. How should it be? There are people convinced that man is a brother to man, and there are people convinced there are gods and there are devils. You must also understand a very important thing, that being at the pinnacle of consciousness, being free in mind, requires first a very complex brain structure, huge intellectual power, thirst for truth, and second, mercilessness to yourself, because thinking is very hard, energy-consuming, painful, unpleasant, because this process of thinking shuts down the supply of endogenous drugs. It leads to no result here and now. You sit and think all night, wake up, survive. And how did you think? What will change in your life? Nothing. Free thinking is the highest act of will. It's the triumph of will. Thinking, breaking free from the chains, all these templates, patterns, anchors, gestalts, imposed doctrines, dogmas. It's the highest act of will. Mercilessness to yourself, desire to live, and desire to know the truth. It's the highest good a man strives for. A person strives to be free. And the closer you get to freedom, the more you start to understand why many ancients, choosing death or freedom, never thought long and without doubts, chose to lose their life when losing freedom. Life without freedom is useless. What is prison? Just a room. Prison isn't a fucking pleasure. Sit and enjoy. No, friends, and it concerns everything: how you look, how you talk, how you live, how you raise children, what kind of woman you have. Limiting freedom is worse than death, because death is the cessation of sensation, and slavery is daily, every second death. Therefore, dear friends, your desire for freedom and your refusal to bow before idiots imposes an unbearable obligation on you to become strong. because you have no choice but to suffer from surrounding stupidity, unfortunately. A rational and weak person has no choice. They need to become strong and physically free, otherwise they'll go crazy. Adaptation is impossible, hiding is impossible. Society is everywhere. And precisely this understanding, that the bridges are burned, there's nowhere to retreat, triggers the most important meta state we need. When a person reaches a result just because they cannot not reach it, result or death, nothing else. And as long as a person has the illusion that they can somehow integrate into society, I will convince my relatives now, I will explain to my friends. I'll upload a video on YouTube now, I'll pick such an argument. While a person has these false illusions, they won't mobilize, they won't have internal hardcore trigger activation. They live in partial mobilization. Look at Panasenko. Look at Andrew Tate. It's important to be truly free. Money itself is a measure of freedom because it's a question of how you got it and who you owe now. No one in the world formulated better than me what personal power is. 5 ways, 5 + 1 ways to have power. What? Nothing else exists, and their combination, that's freedom in one form or another. When a person becomes rich and successful, but has a schedule like Google's sleeve, there's no sense in that. Or a person becomes a businessman, earns billions, but their everyday is scheduled 5 years ahead. What's the point? The ultimate meaning of power is freedom. In Russian, volnitsa, will. This is the ultimate meaning of power, will. You see a beautiful woman, you always imagined a world full of your will. Imagine what that is. You're so used to being worthless that you can't have it. Wanted a car, liked it, forget about it. Maybe in 20 years, God willing, if all goes well. Yeah, saw a beautiful woman, well, go home and jerk off to her. But imagine if you had such power that you could take here and now whatever you want. Saw a house, bought it. Wanted to go somewhere, saw a beautiful video, went there right away. Bought a plane ticket and flew. That's another life. That's the meaning of power, will.
And if you want to say but can't say, what's the point of everything else? It's the foundation, the base. To go out and be able to call evil evil. My personal life, my fate, I choose to live like this. Maybe sometimes move slowly, maybe sometimes not be as cool as I could, but first and foremost, I always choose freedom. I don't move forward if the next step reduces my personal freedom. If I earn $10 million and am absolutely free, but to earn 11 million I have to be on calls 15 minutes every Monday, I'll stay at 10 million and look for another way. But that's my personal worldview. I clearly feel it, I create it, and I advise you to know yourself well, as I've already given you good advice this year. To live happily and fully, first determine not what you can do, but what you can never do. Never ever. And as I said many times, life comes down not to beliefs or real capabilities, but to what is acceptable or unacceptable for you. That's all. If you want to control your life, and all of you here like me, suffer from not fully controlling your life to the degree you want, you need to start controlling what is acceptable and unacceptable for you. And that's very hard, because there's no direct mechanism. The mechanism is only indirect.